Hello everyone and welcome to game number 3 of This Is Jimmy versus VPJemag. You didn't catch the first two games, watch them first because you're going to get spoilers probably. I mean, it's just inevitable when you're casting a series like this. So first off, spawning as the purple Terran up here at the top left of the map, Tal Darim Altar LE, that is the ladder edition of the map, is going to be This Is Jimmy, and his opponent spawning as the Pink Protoss. Everybody knows him. He's been around for a while. He's been in the community doing some stuff with Mr. Bitter and such forth. It's going to be VPJemag.
Definitely, and I mean, Jmag last game just got overrun by a little bio. It's okay. Small bio army got him. Well, yeah. Large bio army got him.
Yeah, I never said it was not a small army.
Yeah.
That was definitely a pretty big two-base play, with a third kind of afterthought type of base behind it.
And,
as you were saying,
you know, as I was saying, you know, Jimmy just didn't have the gateway units to keep up.
No, just really like I was saying before. I mean, that a game like that is a perfect example of why I'm not huge on the two-base Colossus play. I know a lot of players do it. They like to go two-base Colossus. Then they get up that third base like as they're getting their first one or two Colossus out. I'm not saying that it can't work. I'm just saying that I kind of feel like the faster upgrades with the heavier gateway unit styles of play on the two bases gives you a little bit more mobility, gives you higher unit counts, which is typically not actually that bad against pretty heavy bio plays, especially when you got good upgrades. And I feel like it just leads more fluidly into the Colossus on more of a three-base look. So I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of personal preference, though. At the end of the day, you know, I mean, these guys are the pros, and you know, we'll let them decide what's the best method for them to go about things. So we do see that first barracks is going down. It's going to be getting a tech lab on it right away. So maybe going for some kind of an early pressure. This is Jimmy. Going to throw up that supply depot, and actually needs to be careful here. You might actually end up losing this SCV, but that probe is just going to back off. Doesn't want to lose that probe, if at all possible. Just going to leave it there to scout any kind of pressure. Do see This Is Jimmy right away getting in the scout on Jmag's base. Isn't going to see a whole lot just yet. Pretty typical stuff. One gas, the cybernetics core going down. So no special buildings just yet for Jmag.
But if you notice, looks like Jimmy is going to bust out the Scouty Reaper. Yeah,
this actually is starting to look a lot like how he ended up doing his build in our previous game where he opened up with a Reaper and then actually went for a relatively fast expand. So we'll have to see if he actually goes for that same type of player, if he deviates a little bit. Definitely wouldn't say with how that last game turned out. I mean, it definitely worked out. Just as Jimmy hit a really good timing there. Going for that really fast expand might not actually be a really bad idea, and we do see he's going to be actually putting down that fast command center once again. So pretty much an identical build out of This Is Jimmy. Just going to be getting that command center over here by the minerals right away instead of actually placing them elsewhere. Going to get that bunker over there at the front of that, so we will get that expand up relatively quickly. But we do see Jmag going for very, very similar macro-based strategy. He's going one gate into a quick expand, so even faster expand than he did the last couple of games off those two-gate expands. Just going one gate and expand, now going to be getting up that second and that third gateway behind this. So Jmag going for an extremely heavy macro style this game. Flip the income tab really quick. You see it is identical, 20 to 20 harvesters, of course, though This Is Jimmy does have the benefit of the mule, so it'll have slightly more economy than Jmag at this stage of the game.
Yep, definitely, and I mean, really, the way it's going to pan out is, I mean, we're going to probably see a very heavy macro game at this point. I'm predicting Nurski because, you know, you can take a quick second, you can get a nice third once you blow out some rocks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This will actually, I think, benefit, in my opinion, because I'm a protest player, Jmag a little bit more because, you know, that quick Colossus, or if you want to do something goofy like an Archon Zealot build, you know, Charge Lot build, you can do all that because you have your second base already.
Yeah, at this point, I'm definitely expecting Jmag to go with a similar build. I think he's just kind of rearranging the order a little bit. Does have the robotics facility going down after his first three gateways. So probably going to be going for a very similar build to what he did the previous couple of games. Just a little bit different order. He's going to be focusing on the economy a little bit earlier in the game.
For sure, but at the same time, you know, he's going to have to get a little defense out because, well, unfortunately, if, say, This Is Jimmy decides to fix what he's doing and go for some pressure, he can, but what I see, I don't see Jimmy doing that at all. I see him being a turtley Terran right now.
Yeah, probably is going to be going for that very turtley style of play, so we'll just have to wait and see how the players actually do pan this out. But this is Jimmy definitely looking at this point in time like he's going to be going bio-heavy style once again.
Yep, definitely.
So we do see that first observer on the way there for VPJemag. He's going to be able to obviously get a pretty good scout on everything Jimmy is up to after he gets this scouting observer over there to the base of ThisisJimmy. We'll see that basically Jimmy's turtled up at this point. He's getting up this factory. I'm imagining he's not going to actually go tanks, but definitely could prove me wrong and go tanks. Do have quite a few Marines actually getting produced at this time. Not really even building out of this.
You know what he could do, Nurse? I'm just noticing. You know what he could do? He does have a proxy pylon over there. If he went with blink stalkers and had that obs, he could just blink up to the high ground and cause some serious damage.
Could, but I really don't see it going that way. I mean, he already has the Robo out, so he's somewhat committed to Robotech over that fast Twilight Council tech. And, you know, he's getting out the Forge. I mean, this is looking like the exact same build he actually played with last game, so I think he's just going to go for the same build, just a little more macro-oriented in the early stages of the game.
Which is not bad at all, but it looks like Jimmy's doing the exact same thing. He's going to go with that bio-friendly, I'm going to face roll you with 4,000 Marauders build. So...
Yep, is going for the bio-heavy build once again. I'm sure he's going to be adding some barracks very shortly to these initial 3 barracks that he does have up. I'd assume he'd be at least going up to 6 or 7 barracks. I mean, in the last game, he's basically almost on 8 barracks off 2 base. So, very kind of 2 base, push all-in-ish style of play that game. But he was getting up a third behind it, so he definitely was playing for potentially the long game. And we do see...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I mean, the Robo Bay is almost done, so that means we'll definitely see our first look at a Colossus on the field.
Yep, we do have that Robotics Bay going down, probably going to be getting up the good old Thermal Lance quite shortly after he actually gets that bay down, because he is going to be going for that basically 2-base Colossus play, probably be trying to get up his third behind that once again. So going for a very similar style to compared to what he did the last game. The only thing that I think is a little bit different that kind of works out in JMag's favor on this map is with the Blizzard LE map, you got these destructible rocks at this third here. Once you clear out those rocks, I mean, you got 2 ramps really that the opponent can try and attack through, but with some good force field placement, you got some halfway decent chokes, so you might actually be able to defend that pretty easily. But we do see a drop moving out now for ThisisJimmy. Was spotted by this pylon over here, so ThisisJimmy did take out that pylon. Those have the spotting barracks, the scout factory actually, going forward. But here comes that drop, and it is going to actually be spotted by JMag. JMag actually has control of this Zelnaga tower, so he is going to know that this drop is on the way. Drop spot. He's going to try and get that probe out of there if he can. ThisisJimmy trying to be as annoying with this drop as possible, trying to kill all the scouts if he can, so that JMag might not know exactly where the drop is going. But I mean, for the most part, this drop is going to probably not be too effective at this stage in the game of doing anything other than really clearing off a few of the Zelnaga towers. So those look like ThisisJimmy is going to just move forward. Going to probably go to this last Zelnaga tower and try and clear it off, blind JMag as much as possible to what exactly he is up to. That observer just barely got out with his life. And we do see those extra barracks is now getting added and put underway. Going to be going up to actually 6 barracks here.
That's a little ridiculous, but he is getting his upgrades. I mean, we are seeing what needs to get done, and I mean, Thermal Lance is just about done. And I like this. I do see him going with, you know, the Protest level 1 quicker, you know, weapons, and there is Blink on the way.
Yeah, so, definitely a couple of things he didn't really get up the last game. That going for this earlier economy heavy style of play definitely will help, but he's still going to have to be extremely careful because ThisisJimmy can still hit a really good timing push here where he's going to have a lot of bio units. He's going to have plenty of Vikings to deal with the Colossus. So he still could hit a very similar timing to that last game, because right now, I mean, if you look at VPJemag's army, he's got up to those first 2 Colossus, which are really good, but he's extremely low on gateway units right now. So until he can start really adding in those gateway unit numbers, he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable to any kind of timing pushes that ThisisJimmy does, as we do see the +1 attack just about to finish up. And this is about the time in the last game that ThisisJimmy hit that timing push, did a ton of irreparable damage to JMag, and JMag was just forced to GG out of the game. But it'd be interesting to see if Jimmy is going to actually push again with those forces. We do see Jimmy moving forward. Looks like he's going to clear these rocks first. Did that very similar in the last game. So I'd almost expect that if ThisisJimmy is playing suit to what he did the last game, to clear these rocks to get his third expansion prepared to go up, so he can expand behind this very large push. You do see now up to 7.
Yeah, he's getting an obscene amount of Vikings on this push.
Yep. Very similar, like I said, to that last push where he just had a ton of Vikings, a ton of Marine Marauder, just a handful of medevacs, pushed in, did a ton of damage, ended the game. Looks like he's going to try and hit that exact same timing push. Here he goes on his way, moving out once again, just like a mirror of last game. The question is going to be, though, is JMag going to be prepared for that same type of play? Can he actually thwart it and hold off? Does have the 1-1. The 2-2 is on the way, warping in a bunch of Zealots, getting the Zealot leg speed now. Upgrade probably not going to finish before this push. Does have Blink for his Stalkers, though. That could play hugely into this. So we will have to wait
and charge is almost done. If he can hold out for another...
Well, charge only about a quarter of the way done, so it's going to be a little while before he actually gets charge. As we do see the forces here moving to the side, and he's trying to pick off this extractor. Easily will be able to pick off this one extractor. Knocks out the gas mine, so it's going to cripple JMag's gas mine just teeny tiny little bit. Now he's going to be moving around, probably going to be trying to go after the third base of VPJemag, hitting this exact same timing that he hit the last game. The question is, will JMag be actually ready for it this time? Does have out a few more Colossus than he had the last time. That earlier one base into expand definitely did help JMag to get up his economy a little bit faster, so he could get out these extra Colossus and such forth.
You know what's great there, Steve? He's dilly-dallying around. Jimmy's not going right
here we go, hand, hold up, because he is attacking his third. JMag is forced to cancel the third base. Not going to move in to take out this next pylon. Should easily be able to kill this pylon, maybe even then move out after that. Vikings trying to poke forward to get at the Colossus, but can't quite do it. Those couple of handful of Stalkers easily shoving off those Vikings to not allow them to move forward. JMag does have an obs over here at the front of his base. Very good spotting. So it looks like JMag might actually be able to hold this game. We do have that third on the way there for ThisisJimmy, but ThisisJimmy definitely not hitting the exact same timing and strength of timing that he hit that last game, because JMag's slight reorder in his build is definitely allowing this build to hold a lot better.
Yep, and charge has finished, and now we do have charge lots, which will be huge for JMag, because they are the meat shield of the army.
Yep, we do see there is also a Ghost Academy on the way in the back of ThisisJimmy's base, so he is going to be adding Ghosts to this composition in the not-too-distant future here. And Planetary on the way over there at the third. ThisisJimmy just kind of sharking around in the front of VPJemag's base, but the longer he putzes around with this, the worse position it's actually going to kind of technically put him in, because it's allowing JMag to build up quite a few forces. He does have this third going down once again, which it does look like that ThisisJimmy might be gearing up to try and deny that third once again. It might actually be successful at doing it, because it does not look like JMag is prepared for this push to come over here to the third. It looks like JMag might have to cancel this once again for a second time, and this could actually start paying huge dividends for ThisisJimmy in the long term of the game. He's going to take out that pylon. It's going to probably force his third to be canceled, but does look like he is going to be moving forward. Stalkers blink forward, are taking out a lot of the Vikings, but now he's going to have to be extremely careful because he does not have a very good angle into ThisisJimmy's army. ThisisJimmy's army just absolutely shredding those Zealots. The Zealots doing their best to try and do some damage, but can't get any force fields down. Now a couple of Zealots actually getting mismanaged, losing several of his Colossus. Might actually end up losing all of his Colossus. This is absolutely terrible position for JMag to be in. 134 supply and plummeting. 168 supply. Now we see Jimmy moving in forward here. Charge is done. Charge lot streaming forward. That 2-2 is done. 3-3 is on the way. This is a very torrid back and forth. He could actually pick off the third of JMag. If he could get that third base, it would be absolutely huge. JMag trying to reinforce. Still has just one Colossus left. Those Vikings finally all taken out, though, so no Vikings to actually help take out this last Colossus. And now that Colossus is doing some work. Force fields go down, and it does look like JMag might just barely actually be able to hold this. And it looks like ThisisJimmy might actually be overextending his push a little bit here. A lot of his forces starting to get extremely weak from the continuous stims. They are very low on health. A lot of them in the red, a lot of them in the orange. Almost cleaning up all the forces of JMag, but JMag's just going to just barely hold. I think ThisisJimmy might have overextended that push a little bit, Han. He really wanted to get that third base. He maybe should have just let the third get up, take the fact that he killed all those Colossus and so many gateway units out of the trade, and just pulled back because he was so far ahead. But now he's going to end up actually being quite a bit even with Jmag after overextending that attack just enough to allow Jmag to come back and counter push him. So you do see the supplies extremely equal, 98 to 120.
I completely agree with you, but, you know, the big thing is, I mean, at this point, okay, now we've traded armies. ThisisJimmy is remacroing up a little bit quicker. He's got some more Vikings on the way, you know, whatnot. At the same time, though, remember, Jmag has kept up with his upgrades. He's at 3-3.
Yeah, Jmag's already on 2-2, just about to be on 3-3. 3-3 is literally armor just completed, attack completing now, even the +1 shields getting started, talking about those shield upgrades in the last game. And even going to be throwing down the shield upgrades for just good measure, and right now we do see that pretty heavy mulling over here at the base of ThisisJimmy is almost mined out at his natural. His main, for all intents and purposes, is mined out. Now, meanwhile, though, if we look at Jmag's base, a little bit healthier at the natural, although starting to get mined out, and just getting going on his third. So you're basically going to be pretty soon here on one base versus one base as far as economy goes. So this game could definitely come down to whoever can get up that fourth base.
Yeah, and keep that. The big thing you should say is keep that fourth base.
So we do have ThisisJimmy moving out here. I'm not really sure what he's up to. Might be actually trying to sneak and hide a fourth base over here at this corner. Is entirely possible. Could just be scouting. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I see this SCV just kind of randomly roaming out to this edge here, and I can only imagine this might be to try and gear up to take a fourth base. We do see that Jmag also gearing up to take a fourth base over here, plopping down that pylon. Does have a pretty good point of attack to actually take the fourth base. These positions on the map actually somewhat working into Jmag's favor, because if you look at the ramp here, ramp from Jmag's third, straight off right into his fourth. Ramp from ThisisJimmy's third, straight off right next to your opponent's base.
Hey, you know, it's one of those things, you know?
Obviously, a couple of positions, ThisisJimmy could still put down some bases, either over here at the edge of his main base, or over here. He could try and hide a base. Wait and see what ThisisJimmy does actually decide to do. We do have the fourth base, though, of Jmag going down. So Jmag is going to be getting up that fourth base before ThisisJimmy even gets his started. Now, just now starting, is going to be taking that close command center right there next to his base. So even though he has a pretty mobile army, he doesn't want to try and abuse things too much. And we have high Templar tech on the way for VPJemag.
And I like he's got hallucination and, well, you know, protest shields level 2.
Yep, he's working on the Protoss Shields level 2, and just chrono boosting that out. ThisisJimmy is going to spot this fourth base now going up. Might think about trying to push out to attack. We'll have to wait and see. Third base is pretty well on their way. If you look at the income tab, we do see it 64 to 59 harvesters. ThisisJimmy is just a slight lead in economy, slight lead in the actual army supply, 190 to the 160 of Jmag. And I think.
Oh, look how many Marauders he has.
Yeah, tons.
That's all Marauders.
Tons of Marines. I mean, absolutely ridiculous amounts. And just 2 Ghosts, which I find kind of interesting, because normally when you see those bio-heavy styles of play, you see Terra maybe get 4, 5 Ghosts, something like that, along with some Vikings. But ThisisJimmy actually just opting to get 2 Ghosts. So he's definitely got to be extremely careful, because with High Templars on the way now for Jmag, does have a couple out, as you can see. Storm is complete, so he can Storm. This could definitely go very lopsided, not so much in his favor. A couple of key EMPs could do a lot of damage to the shields of the army of Jmag, but Jmag actually pretty well spread out here right now, minus this little clump of units right here. So it could be one of those games where he's going to have to be careful, because a couple of well-placed feedbacks could kill off those Ghosts and absolutely nullify ThisisJimmy's ability to get some stuff done. But it looks like ThisisJimmy's going to be pushing over here to the fourth base of Jmag. Jmag is absolutely not ready to defend this at all, and he's probably going to have to just give this base up instantly. Jmag's force is still actually just hanging out by his natural, not even prepared yet. And here comes the force of ThisisJimmy. Going to be stimming into the fourth base here of Jmag. Going to easily be able to take it out before Jmag can do anything. His fourth base very well secured right now. Fourth base does go down. Now ThisisJimmy's going to just try and back up. A couple of the forces of Jmag actually getting split up a little bit. He needs to be careful. He needs to make sure that the Terran player does not get a good angle here. Throws down the EMPs, but actually does not get a lot of the forces of Jmag's shields. Only gets a handful of them. And now those Zealots moving forward did get a good EMP off on a couple of those, but now some Storms going down on the Marauders. And a Storm right in the middle of the Marauder ball doing a ton of damage to ThisisJimmy's army. His army is in the reds and yellows all over the place. He's going to need to be extremely careful 1 or 2 more well-placed storms could actually do a lot of damage, but he is out of energy on those Templar. It's going to all come down to the Colossus versus the Marauders, and I think the Colossus are going to clean this up, and it's going to put JMag in an extremely good position to try and push ThisisJimmy in the near future, as taking his first lead of the game, 123 supply to just a 108 of ThisisJimmy.
Definitely, and you know what? I love it. He did get the morph into the Archon, so the Archon will be out there. So we all know Archons are beastly right now.
Yeah, that range upgrade actually did wonders for Archons. But I think one key point, though, to remember, though, is ThisisJimmy does have his fourth base up. JMag's going to have to be rebuilding his fourth base. So at least temporarily, ThisisJimmy might not be in too terrible of a spot, as he is going to have a little bit more economy. His 3-3 upgrades are getting underway here, so he is going to be starting to catch up in upgrades a little bit. We do have Protoss Shields level 3 on the way here for JMag, but Ghost can do a lot to nullify that shield advantage upgrades. So, I mean, some good EMPs here, or some good feedbacks for Storms, I think what this game's going to come down to, because I can't see it going on too much longer. I got a feeling here that this next battle could be the one that decides it. Both players basically maxed out attack.
I'm really thinking JMag's got this one, because I'm looking at his army, and he's got his Templars, he's got his Colossus. We're basically 3-3, it's soon to be 3, you know.
Yep, about to have that 3 shield upgrade finished. It is a little over halfway done. Is getting up that 4th Nexus so that he can mine from it. Actually, distance mining from it right now. That Scouting Factory coming back over here once again, playing the pivotal role in scouting out the bases of ThisisJimmy. But ThisisJimmy is going to have to be a little bit careful, because he is starting to mine out at that 3rd. Does have that 4th base up, though. 4th base extremely healthy. But JMag's 3rd is actually pretty darn healthy right now, I would say. So he's definitely going to have that 3rd base for quite some time. Is just now getting that 4th up. But it has a pretty good sized army. Managed to get a lot of those Colossus and whatnot to survive that battle. So he could just reinforce with a heavy amount of gateway units. Some high Templar. Going to keep his Colossus count right around that 3-ish count. And it looks like JMag is actually gearing up to try and put the gears to ThisisJimmy before he can really get his attack up and underway. Does have 3 Ghosts out, though, taking that number up by 1, so he could possibly throw down some more EMP. So this is definitely going to come down to who can EMP or who can feedback or whatnot the best. We do see that JMag is trying to move up a Templar, probably wants to go for the feedback on those Ghosts. He can't see them. He has great vision right now of everything that ThisisJimmy is up to. Here comes that Templar. Actually does have Storm. Could try and storm the mineral line. We'll have to wait and see what he does decide to do. And it looks like he is going to move forward, and huge storm goes down right in the middle of ThisisJimmy's forces. It gets almost all the forces, and there is just those handful of medevacs there, and those medevacs are going to drain a lot of their energy, healing up all of those forces. So JMag trying to be just a little bit sneaky, just taking 1 Templar, wanted to go for the feedbacks on the Ghosts, had them all queued up to feed him back. But good army movement there by ThisisJimmy allowed him to be able to stop that Ghost from doing that, but did take a huge storm. So JMag right now looks like he's just trying to contain ThisisJimmy, but ThisisJimmy trying to take out over like a ninja 5th over here in this corner. Even transferring a couple of SCVs and getting them out and on the way over there. So a few SCVs can be over to join this 5th base. 4th base is now up for JMag. Really great upgrades. That shield upgrade has finished, and interestingly enough, ThisisJimmy has built a starport now. And oh no, I'm out of my mind. That's personal cloaking for Ghosts. I saw the cloaking sign. It's like, he's going Banshees now? What? But we do have a engagement getting ready to gear up here, guys. Looks like ThisisJimmy is ready to try and engage the forces of JMag. Looks like JMag's actually trying to bait out some... Oh! Vikings taking a huge hit from Storm. Loses most of his Vikings in the initial flurry of battle. If we look at all the shields, we do have a ton of shields going down from those Ghosts, but not very many Vikings left, and they do manage to take out one of the Colossus, trying to take out the last Colossus, but the last Viking does go down, so there is still 1 Colossus remaining. JMag needs to organize his force a little bit, but here comes those High Templars throwing down a lot of great position storms. This army is in the reds and the oranges. A lot of these units extremely weak, and now here comes JMag pushing forward. Is actually keeping that last Colossus back. Might want to actually consider moving that Colossus forward with the rest of his army to try and finish off this game, because he does have ThisisJimmy in a very precarious position. All his forces are extremely weak. Now here comes that Colossus forward with a bunch of reinforcements for VPJemag, even getting his 5th base up behind this, but it looks like JMag is going to be pushing in to try and go for the kill, try and take out this 3rd base. If possible, he's going to have to be a little bit careful, because that is a planetary fortress, which will give ThisisJimmy a little bit more of an advantage than he would otherwise have. SCV's trying to repair that base, but it does look like JMag is going to be able to take it down. And now those Zealots just streaming forward, going after those Marauders. Those Marauders are extremely low on health. Medevac's extremely low on energy. Needs to be extremely careful here because right now this is looking extremely good for JMag. We do have ThisisJimmy over here mining from this base now, muling these bases over here at his 5th. So does have that 5th base economy up to try and keep reinforcing his units. But right now, if we look at the supply disparity, 145 for JMag, just 92 for Jimmy, and JMag is looking in extremely good shape. Adding more Harry Templar to the mix. Now they do not have Storm yet. He'll have to wait at least a minute to get Storm, or you could just use him to try and feedback, reinforcing with a ton of Zealots. And actually is going to catch a bunch of these SCVs in transit, which is absolutely huge. We look at the income tab, we do see that just 25 Harvesters left for ThisisJimmy hand. This could be spelling the... I'm seeing
so many Zealots right here, Nursky. This is ridiculous. They are 333 with charge.
These
what?
Zealots absolutely crazily upgraded. Has a ton of minerals built up, so he just reinforced with a whole lot of Zealots. Does have a couple of High Templar mixed in there. Storm is up for most of those Templar now. Just a couple of Stalkers to deal with any air units. But the biggest thing here, hand, is if you look at the income tab, 28 Harvesters to the 65 of JMag. ThisisJimmy's economy is hurting so bad right now. He's having tons of trouble reinforcing his units. He's extremely low on units. It's nearly a max Protoss to the 100 supply of ThisisJimmy, and dwindling as here comes JMag moving into the natural, trying to go for the kill here. Those Vikings trying to pick off these 2 Colossus, but the Stalkers right away laying into the Vikings. ThisisJimmy's going to try and utilize his wall over here in his main to try and hold on as long as humanly possible. He does have those 2 other mining bases, so he technically can kind of give this natural up. It is completely mined out, no gas, no anything really. So he is going to be moving this back, and ThisisJimmy trying to poke in and out, trying to utilize these forces the best that he can, trying to get in some good shots on all those Templar. And then the Storms go down, and they get a ton of really big hits in on the units of ThisisJimmy. All of them into the oranges and the yellows. That supply depot just about down, and JMag is just slowly crawling his way through the bases of ThisisJimmy. ThisisJimmy still has his 5th up, which is playing absolutely huge. They're producing SCVs out of it. Still has a pretty healthy 3rd over here, so he does still have these 2 bases over here, this 4th and 5th base. But right now, JMag sitting here on an extremely healthy 4th. Has some decent mining from his 3rd still, even starting to mine from his 5th base, and has a much, much larger army. And a huge EMP goes down, gets a lot of the army of JMag, and this is going to be Jimmy's last chance to actually try and hold this. Crawling through his bases now, trying to create chokes wherever he can to try and get some damage done to the forces of JMag and whittle them down, but it's to no avail as JMag just instantly reinforcing with all of his units. Just has so much more economy than ThisisJimmy right now that he's able to reinforce so quickly, banking tons of minerals and gas in between reloads of units. Now here he goes moving forward, catches the Marauders finally out in a pretty open area, getting a very good surround with the Zealots, and I think this is going to be it, hand. ThisisJimmy trying to micro this.
I'm telling you, this is it, because this is Zealot Central right now.
Yep, just trying to micro those last couple of units he has as best as possible. Blink forward, and there's the GG. VPJemag JMag takes the series 2-1 over ThisisJimmy. Absolutely outstanding game number 3 by both players. Back and forth game, but VPJemag coming up on top. Oh my god, that game was absolutely so good. Extremely long game, but extremely good game.
Phenomenal game. I mean, he tech switched, and it paid off.
Yep.
You went right to Storms, and I'll tell you what. There you go.
Yep, and that's going to be...
It just showed you what he could do.
Yep, that's going to be it for now, guys. As always, subscribe to my YouTube, youtube.com/NurskySC. Subscribe to Hand From Above's YouTube, youtube.com/HandFromAbove. We will catch you guys at our next cast. Peace out.
See you guys.